I'm so pleased to say that Elijah Woods joins me in the studio right now. Elijah Woods is an Ontarian artist. He's gone on to rack over 1 billion streams, 4 Juno nominations, 5 million followers across social media, all before his debut album. Over the last few years, whether it was the success or maybe just getting older, Elijah, like a lot of us, started asking himself some big questions. Does my music even sound like me? Why am I making it? Are any of these people I'm hanging out with my friends? Am I really happy? These were things that started to keep him up at night. And he knew that if he wanted to move forward, he had to have some difficult conversations with himself and his loved ones to find the answers. And the result is his, finally, debut album. Take a listen.
If this is the end, live and let it die. I'm leaving you behind. Goodbye, my friend. We can't go on like this. No, I can't go on like this. Yeah, I think we know that this is the end.
That is a little bit of That's All, Folks by Elijah Woods. You can find it on his debut album called Can We Talk. I'm so pleased to say he joins me now in the studio to talk about it and about it all. Hi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello. I'm so great today, man. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to have you here.
I know. It feels like a long time coming.
Yeah, I feel like we've been floating around the same circles for a long time.
Canadian Adjacent.
Here we go. That's the name of the show.
Canadian Adjacent. Welcome back to Canadian Adjacent.
So you're from Perth, Ontario?
I grew up in between Maberly and Charlotte Lake and Perth, Ontario. So
Hold on,
small
you grew
towns.
up near Maberly?
Hell yeah.
I got so many questions for you.
Elfin, Maberly. This is my childhood.
I have played music in Perth. I have played music in Maberly. I played a square dance.
Yep, I've been there.
The Maberly Quarterly.
The Maberly Quarterly, yeah. And it was, so my dad played in a lot of bands growing up. They used to play in a Beatles cover band as well as like a band called the Commuters, which were local legends. And it consisted of my aunt, my uncle, my other uncle, one of their friends, and my dad. And they would all kind of rotate instruments. So I grew up with them playing Beatles covers at all these square dances and Blue Skies Music Festival, which we just talked about. So small town Ontario living, but
not just small town Ontario, like hippie alternative, like Vietnam era draft dodgers who moved to Canada.
Yes.
I think Vanessa out there, like I told people on this team who are from Ontario about this world, and they know nothing about it. It's a very hidden world, and that's where you're from. The Blue Skies Music Festival, for people who don't know, is this incredible, like very hippie, very alternative music festival where they don't announce who any of the musicians are.
Which is sometimes a bit hit and miss. I've been there years where you watch the most incredible musician who like built his own instrument come onto the stage and just blow your mind for an hour and a half. And then other years you show up and you're like, maybe they should have put a schedule together. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really incredible. It was a wild upbringing, especially musically. I was surrounded by so many talented people that you've never heard of, and I just watched them play in my backyard.
My favorite Blue Skies moment was I got to the festival, and I'm from Newfoundland, and we don't really have festivals like Blue Skies there. And I was like, I wonder what this festival is like. And I saw a guy catch a Frisbee, turn it around, and scoop chili into it.
Incredible.
And
absolutely.
Eat vegetarian chili.
That was probably my dad. Yeah, it was probably one of my family members. So that was my childhood.
So you grew up off the grid, and what was your house like?
It was wild. We lived very off the grid. We had no running water. We had no power. We had no TV. There was nothing. It was just like us and entertaining ourselves, just trying to find fun and trying to learn new things and try to keep entertained in the wilderness of rural Ontario. And it was incredible. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about, I guess, learning in general. It's like when you have no screens and you have no ability to contact your friends, because I grew up without cell phones and like the whole thing, you just find things to do. And I think that's largely where my creativity came from, was just necessity of not pulling my hair out.
You dropped out of college to pursue music professionally. Famously, where I first heard about you is you start this duo with Jamie Fine, and you end up, you guys have been making music for a while. You're doing most of the production. She's doing most of the singing. You end up on the show.
Completely divided.
You are doing all the production.
All the production. She's doing all the
singing.
Yeah.
You then end up on the show called The Launch. Now, remind me of that. Did that tape here?
It taped in Toronto. 2017. It was so quick. It was such a blip in time. That show filmed, I think, over 1 week.
Wow.
And we were only on the show for like one episode, but it kind of shaped that chapter of our life, which was a very niche experience at overnight success. And I think it showed us what a hit song can do, being included into this TV show where we had Ryan Tedder and Scott Borchetta, and then exploding onto iTunes. And I think we hit #1 on the iTunes chart or something like that. And I was like, what does this even mean?
It's fire and then it's rain. Fire and then it's rain. Say loving you ain't easy. But baby, you're what I crave. And I wouldn't want to waste it. Late at night when I need more you.
Man, that's Ain't Easy by Elijah Woods and Jamie Fine. That was a big song.
It was really cool. And like I said, it was just so strange. It was such a strange period of our life because we were kind of like an indie pop thing with no huge through line on identity. We just loved making music together. And then this TV show was like, no, you guys are a pop duo. That's what we are. So we adopted that for a little while and then kind of realized later as we found, I think, more of ourselves that that really wasn't who we were as a duo.
What's one good thing about having a big smash hit without sort of like building to it, like without playing clubs and building an audience? You get you guys are doing okay, but that thing took off. Mm-hmm. But also Canadian radio songs taking off doesn't always translate to like hard seats. Like,
yeah.
What is one good thing about having a big overnight success song like that and one challenging thing?
I'll start with the challenging thing. The challenging thing is that later in my career, and not that I'm so far into this that I know anything, but I'm at a point now where I understand that you can't really skip steps. There's amazing artists that have massive success, and you look at what they're doing a year later after their big song, and they're just not. It's not working anymore because it was just momentary. And I think that was the most challenging thing, is understanding that we were on this big wave, and how do you follow that up? How do you find the next chapter of this? And that came with like a lot of identity loss and a lot of self-doubt, a lot of...
What do you mean identity loss?
Like with the success that, I mean, I can't speak for Jamie, but with the success that came with it for me, I just felt like, okay, I've been thrown into this thing and I've been given the keys to this really fast car. I don't really know how to drive it. I don't really know if I'm a good driver. I don't know where this car is going. I just have to keep it driving, and I have to keep this record label that I'm signed to happy, and I have to keep these songwriters that I've had access to happy. And it made me more people-pleasy than I normally am, which is already very people-pleasy. And that took a lot of toll, I think, as we developed and grew.
Good thing, I guess, is the crash course and the, you know.
It was the best part of it. And that's I think what I learned about the music industry, I just wouldn't change for the world. Like getting signed to a major label, and we had, I will call it a great experience with a major label. They really let us do what we wanted, and they were so lovely, and they invested a ton of money into us. It taught me a lot about publishing and master ownership and where money is in music and how to try to sell a show and how to, I guess, establish a bit of business outside of just like giving the keys to somebody else. And that was so invaluable for me at that time, and it helped me discover that I wanted to be an independent artist.
I'll say this, it was so, on our end, on the non-you end, like someone who's paying attention to your music or listening to your music on the radio, it was so quick that happened and then you guys split up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like to me...
It was a lifetime for me.
Yeah, I bet, because you guys had been together for a long time before that. But to me, like it's like the song had come out. And I was hearing it, and then I found out you guys weren't playing together anymore.
It's interesting because we had this whole chapter of like making music that we really, really loved, and listening back to it, I don't think it was like within the pop lens, it wasn't competitive, and we had a really great time with it. And then I think that was just it was like a pressure cooker for, I think, our relationship, and just like being in a band is impossible, it's just like I know so many bands go to therapy and try to figure it out, and we came to a point where we were like, all right, we can go do our separate things. You then do something I find really, really interesting. I think when you are on the production side of a big hit duo like that, you would have been well within your rights to like, and you had hits by then, and it's really hard to have a hit. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's really rare. Yeah. And when you get a hit, a lot of doors open up for you. So I think what I would have expected is for you to maybe go to LA then and start producing. You turn into Greg Wells, or you turn into Ryan Tedder, who of course had One Republic. But you know what I mean? Like you turn into a writer and a producer. You gave yourself a year to teach yourself to sing. How did you learn to sing? I think I found confidence in being able to tell original stories on a microphone through auto-tune, and that gave me enough confidence to like hear myself back and be like, oh, I can just sing that 10% better. So it wasn't necessarily striving for somebody specific.
Let me explain that to people who aren't in the studio.
Yeah.
So what that means is you were singing maybe a bit hesitantly, maybe a little bit out,
Extremely.
maybe a little bit out of tune. But you were able to use like a computer program. You're able to use auto tune,
Yeah.
like the stuff that T-Pain uses famously, but also I use, everyone uses,
Yeah.
to hear what you sound like when you're in tune.
Yeah.
And you get a bit of confidence that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the intersection of technology and music in my life has just been really serendipitous. It's through tools like autotune and plugins, which if you don't know what they are, they're just tools in the computer that make you sound slightly different than you were when you were naturally recording. And I think I'm a huge proponent of hearing something and being like, oh, I can make that better, or I can make that 10% more interesting. And that was ultimately like me finding my voice. It was recording a song and being like, that was kind of terrible, but I think if I record it like this, and I think if I sound like this, or if I change the key of it, I might sound a little bit better. And it was just a willingness to try to progress and to try to be better at it.
So this is what I find interesting at this juncture. People are hearing you talk about like how to rebuild after the duo breaks up. You aren't really a singer, so you talk about the intersection of technology and your voice to sort of create a voice that you are comfortable with and a way of making music comfortable with. So that's so like digital and process oriented and great. And then the other sort of formative Elijah Woods discovers his own voice and who he is, and if you want to talk about this song you wrote about your brother who you lost when you were young, right?
Yeah. I lost my older brother in a car accident when I was 14, and that was...
I'm so sorry, man. I know it was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
It's still like, that's what a horrible way to,
It's a really strange one, and I mean, for anybody who's lost anybody, it never really gets easier. It just kind of changes shape, and for me, I didn't look at it until a decade later. I didn't understand it. I was just like, when it happened, we didn't talk about it as a family. You do that out of protection, you know what I mean? It's like something you don't want to talk about because it's just so difficult to go in there. And what do you say? Like, it's like losing a brother is one thing and losing a son is another, losing a loved one. It's so difficult, and there's no real resolution. There's no real like processing of it as a family. So for me, I just started forming these questions in my head, and I had no plans to write a song about it at that point. I had no plans to even journal about it. It was just things that I wanted to know and questions that I had and memories that I had of him. And that eventually, through songwriting, through journaling, turned into therapy. And that just turned into me really unpacking that. And it took me...
You wrote this song.
Yeah. It took me a lot of work to open that really terribly packed up shoebox of memories up into this like table full of ideas. And then it took me like looking at them and writing like 9 versions of this song that felt cathartic, but really they were just terrible songs. Like they weren't conveying the thing that I wanted to say. And then I finally wrote the song. Song's called Matthew, and it was all the questions that I had and this open-endedness and this like sorrow and melancholy, but all wrapped in a really like journalistic kind of approach to it. And I just wrote it for me just to try to figure my stuff out.
So why the hell did you leave so fast? 'Cause shooting stars never meant to crash. Were you in pain and I just couldn't see that it all made sense when I was 23? That you'll be there when I need you most, despite a million miles, will we still be close? Would you fall in love, make her your wife? Would you have a kid, would you have your eyes? I guess we'll never know.
It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
And I had done enough research on you to know a little bit of the story, and to know that you wrote the song and that you played it for your family. I think you played it for your dad. And is it in a Costco parking lot?
Costco parking lot, yeah. You're well read.
But I didn't once a year.
Yeah.
But I didn't. What I didn't know is that I think I assumed that it had just happened,
Yeah.
and you wrote the song about it, and you had all come together and you play. I didn't know that this was something you guys just didn't really talk about for like a decade or so.
Yeah.
And then you played it for your family.
I did.
Can you as much as you want to?
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's one of those things, like, I don't feel strange talking about it. Sometimes it'll come in waves, and I was just talking with a friend the other day, and it's just like it all comes up, and you're just like over encumbered by
Man, I got to tell you,
feelings.
I don't know if you have any kids. I just had, so I went through a big loss when I was 24. I lost my dad when I was young.
I'm so sorry to
And
hear.
yeah, but it was like, whatever, like you said, I never got over it, but it changed shape.
Yeah.
And then you have a kid
And it changed.
and it comes right back.
Yeah.
Like it all happens again.
And you're revisiting all these feelings in a completely new lens, and
Yeah.
that's what this was for me. It was like now looking at it for me rather than what was my dad going through, because I watched this person who was like one of the strongest people in my life just like crumble around this thing.
Yeah.
And I was just there for him because I'm like, that's my dad. I gotta take care of him and do the thing. And then I looked at it from me, and through writing that song, the biggest nervousness of it wasn't, oh, I'm going to put this out and people are going to hear my innermost thoughts. It was, I'm going to play it for my brother who lost their brother. I'm going to play it for my dad who lost his son. And what I was met with when I played it with them was just a sense of connection that I just didn't know was possible. And in that Costco parking lot, it was pouring rain. And I just was so nervous. And I told him, I was like, hey, like I wrote a song about Matt and I'd really love for you to hear it, just to hear how I feel about it and hear how I felt about it. And he started crying and we listened to the song, and it was something I'll never forget. And it showed me like a lot of the power in music. Is he had told me that he'd been trying to write that song for 15 years.
Your dad had?
Yeah. And he was like, I've just been trying to understand this in this way, and it's been impossible for me to talk about it. And like, thank you for giving me a place to go visit my son. And that was just, it was a lot. It was like a lot for me, and even now I feel that. That's the thing I feel the most out of all this. It's like I don't feel the pain as much, that immediate sting. I just feel the deep, like profound sense of loss, and the sense of
I mean, that's what the song's about. The song's about not about like, hey, this happened. It's almost about like, here's what didn't happen.
yeah. Here's
You know?
what you could have been. Here would we have been friends? Would you have been a good person? You know.
You're prone to, I don't know if it's because of the loss at an early age, and I didn't know you were so young, but I don't know if it's because of that. I don't know if it's coming out of, and we were making jokes about the hippie world in Maberly and in rural Ontario that you grew up in, but also a very strong ethical world around making music. I mean, these are quite literally people who left society for the most part to sort of move out into more rural places and are very serious about the ethics of why they live their life. It now doesn't surprise me, the new record, because the new record is, because I was sort of wondering that, like, you're still pretty early in your career.
Definitely, yeah.
Why you are asking really big questions about why am I doing this in the first place? Because just to skip ahead, you end up writing songs, you end up singing, and your career takes off. You get, tons of streams, you get hits, you get, it really does work out, especially on TikTok and especially on Instagram. The songs do really, really well, and they become, you get what you wanted. I was surprised that at this stage you were starting to ask yourself some of the difficult questions for this record. What were some of the questions you were asking yourself and asking others?
I think you hit it in the little intro you gave, which I really liked. You said it in a lot of the ways that maybe I've thought about but haven't actualized. And a lot of the questions within this record were the company I keep and the people I keep around me. And I'm always in a period of reinvention and consistently assessing, okay, what am I getting out of this relationship? What are you getting out of this relationship from me? Can I give you more? And a lot of this record is about conflict resolution. It's just about asking those difficult questions and being present with the answers, no matter if they're good or bad. And I think over the last couple of years, the music industry is strange. It's like you go through these relationships where you have this person who's just your rock, and then all of a sudden they're gone tomorrow, and then you're on to the next thing, and you keep growing and keep developing, or you don't, and you just hang it up. And that's the intersection of this album. It's, do I want to keep doing this? Do I care to have all this hurt just for inspiration? Do I care to have all these deep emotions just to create art? And there's a parallel universe where Elijah Woods is a physiotherapist in Perth, Ontario, and I just don't have this deeper meaning, and I don't have this deeper quest to see and be seen and to give people a place to escape their lives. But every time I ask that question, the answer is always, I love doing this, and I love meeting people, and I love chatting about it, and I love being open about these like difficult feelings.
Work late to just be tired, get hurt to get inspired, refreshed to watch it load, and I'll move too fast to take it slow, and I'll catch up to go in circles, practice to run rehearsals, hold too tight to let it go, am I cutting the grass to watch it grow?
Ooh, good song. Nice lyrics.
Thank you. That was one of those ones, you know, you're in the room and you're like, oh, I'm participating in this. This isn't me.
Like it's coming from somewhere else.
It's just channeling through you. You're doing the thing.
It's a lot about what you were just talking about, you know, what pain am I experiencing just to be able to write a song about it? And what am I seeking out maybe that could be harmful just to be able to write a song about it? That's Cutting the Grass by Elijah Woods. So maybe we'll close off by asking, like, where are you with it now? How old are you?
I'm 31.
I worry a little bit because I guess I'm 38, so I'm at the age where I start to worry about people.
Worry about things.
Yeah. And I worry about the cost to people like you of giving so much of yourself in your social media, in your songs, and I worry about how that's going to impact you in the long term. And sometimes going on TikTok and Instagram and hearing music on that makes me want to go out into the woods of rural Ontario and start growing eggplants and start a square dance.
Yep.
It feels like you've been doing some recalibrating around all that stuff. Where are you at the end of making this record?
I am tired. I am.
Where are you with all this at the end of making this record?
So it's funny. This is an interesting intersection in my career and an interesting intersection in my life. Being an independent artist, it's just, it's quite literally all me. And it's when it goes poorly, it's my fault, and when it goes well, it's my reward. I enjoy the art making, and I also enjoy the idea that you can make it work if you try hard enough, and if you're not afraid to be cringy on the internet, and if you're not afraid to put yourself out there and just do something different. Like I never saw, we just finished up a tour in Asia, and I never saw that in the cards for me. It's like I'm headlining these shows to 2,000 people, and they're all screaming the words, and they don't even speak English. And I'm like, that's not real. How does that happen? And it's because of these little intangible things that I've been able to do, or I think it's because of these little intangible things that I've been able to do by giving myself this fully. And I think maybe the most basic answer is that if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And I'm glad that it's something healthy, at least, and it's explorative, and I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about relationships. And if I didn't have this, then I'd be a little bit concerned about the thing that I spend my time doing. The mind of Elijah Woods, the physiotherapist in Perth, is not a fully healthy one. I don't think so. I think he's got some deep-seated issues and some... I think he's probably got a love addiction. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. A bad quality in a physiotherapist. The polarity of that is crazy. There's a documentary in there. Bad quality. You do not want that. No. What I'll add is that I think that also you have given the gift of this music and the gift of these things you've been writing about. I wouldn't forget about that either. You know, that there, in addition to the internal rewards, you were giving a gift to the people who are hearing. Thank you. I appreciate that. I never like let that soak into my ego as much as maybe I'd like to, because at the end of the day, like I just feel like I'm just a channel for whatever's going on, and I'm a vehicle for the way I grew up, and a vehicle for songs that are maybe bigger than me, and I'm just like happy to be a part of it and happy to be able to keep going, because that's the true gift, is that you come to these intersections in your life with relationships, with your work, anything. Yeah, art, friendships, anything, and you have the option to quit and to not keep going, or you just keep going. And the gift that I have is that I just can't stop, and that's good enough for me. Like that's a reason to keep doing this. I think you're a great songwriter. I think you made a great record. Thank you. And thanks so much for finally coming in. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. So great to like finally do this, chop it up. Well, you know what? When I'm 38, we'll check in. Yeah. Hopefully we'll check in before then, but. Yeah, well, good to know. You're like, I'll talk to you in 7 years. Yeah. 7 years, we'll put in the books. Yeah.